Hi and namaste everyone, and welcome to my channel called Zuzanareacts, where I learn all about India with your help, and I just share my Slovak point of view as someone from Central Europe, since Slovakia is at the very heart of Europe. So in today's video, we will look at the Ranveer Shroff clip. It just recently came out about the explanation of Jaishankar's policy. As you all know, I'm a bit of a fan of Mr. Jaishankar, so I'm very curious to learn more about it. And I hope we can come up with something interesting, learn something interesting, all of us together. So without a further ado, let's just roll the clip.
To do like a 2023 Indian foreign policy for dummies kind of.
No,
Because it's too complex.
no, because it's so dynamic. No, it changes every other day. But yes, let me just, if I was to just say what is different in the way foreign policy is done today as compared to maybe 10 years back, or 15 years back, I think India, it's basically the India story, right? We When Modi came in 2014, everybody, there's one section which thought that we're going to have a very muscular foreign policy. That means we're going to be aggressive towards our neighbors, and towards how we position ourselves internationally. What you don't realize, or what people didn't realize, it to have a muscular foreign policy, first you have to have, domestically you have to be strong now. the, how can you be aggressive towards anybody, and for no reason you can't be aggressive? How is it going to serve your purpose? So unless you're domestically strong, unless your manufacturing industry, unless your exports, unless you're strong and your economy is doing well, aggression is zilch. Then you will be like a Pakistan which is aggressive. Just because of your geopolitical thing, तुमने एक suicide vest पहन लिया and aggressive हो गए, that I'll blow up anybody who comes, so I'm aggressive. That kind of aggression doesn't work in a democracy. We are a functioning democracy. So
Sorry, I'll just stop it here. Like, why did people think that he's going to bring in a more muscular policy? If you know, please do let me know in the comments below. And let's continue.
I think many people misunderstood the muscular democracy kind of muscular foreign policy in doing that. What did happen was that the BJP is not a shrinking violet. So they're not from that non-aligned movement. Hum sweet se log hain piche baith ke. No, they're rising to the occasion. And here we now have a foreign policy where we have decided, or we are telling the world that our voice matters. Because not just because we are 1.4 billion today, but we are also representative of these developed nations which want a strong voice, which talks about equality, which talks about that you cannot have any organization like a UN Security Council or any organization today without an India rep. What are you talking about? How? And as we get a voice of our own, I think our foreign policy is getting more confidence. I think our stand, our young officers, when they go, speak with a sense of purpose, with a sense of pride. When an officer goes and speaks at the UN, she knows that she represents a country which believes in our values of free speech, in freedom, and in democracy. We have our fissures, we have our flaws, but I think there is a confidence in our youth, there is a confidence in our policymakers today.
Okay.
This is very interesting. I really love that part, that there is like a clear vision of the country that you guys have, or at least this is how I'm understanding what she's relaying here. On the values and the purpose. I love this very much, because I feel like this is the only way how you can actually build a company, but also build a nation. So it's really cool, and the fact that you can be proud of that, it is amazing. I think that many European nations could benefit from that.
What are our flaws?
Which many of us, we are a noisy democracy. So we are people who will voice our opinions. We are somebody who we have our diversity, which is our strength, but the diversity also causes fissures in our system. It causes pulls apart people. We have our issues of caste, we have our issues of language, our religion, so many things which pull us apart also. But at the same time, there are people in this country who believe that despite all our diversities, we are one country, we are one nation, right? And there are people who try to divide us. Because when I say people, people make fun ke haan, foreign hand, but of course there is foreign hand. Who likes the idea of another country becoming more important than the others, right? It was a unipolar world, just America. Then there was the G2, that Russia to hati gaya tha, Soviet Union hati gaya tha, Soviet Union broke up, and there's Russia. Now there's China. China has a worldview that this America is a dying, decaying power. It is us. Europe is anyway falling apart because of various reasons. So China wants to come into that single unipolar world where they are the one thing. That is Xi Jinping's wet dream. So he wants that. All right. He wants to be there. Here is an India which is rising and coming up. So it doesn't suit anybody's purpose. And of course, there are people in our neighborhood who are not comfortable with that idea. And even friends of ours are not comfortable with the idea. People who are our allies in some way or the other, if you want to call it ally, our friends, our neighbors, who likes if your neighbor suddenly becomes prosperous, ultra prosperous, even in a society, dekh lo aap. In a housing society, if one person suddenly gets a Mercedes, suddenly in the sense of 3 साल में suddenly gets, right? एक Mercedes भी खरीद लिया, 3-4 घर में house help भी आ गया. Suddenly they're wearing designer clothes and like, oh, look at this. Wow, what is this? Johnny come lately. How's he become? So I'm just saying that even in a housing society, you have that problem. So imagine country-wise, like neighborhood also.
I love this lady. She's very fun.
Some countries have policymakers who are smart enough and say that, hey, here's a country which is going to become super $1 trillion economy, and we are still in a $1 billion economy. Let's join with them. Let's have trade routes with them, free trade agreement with them, so that we can join up with them. Sri Lanka is a country which is thinking like that. That somebody who wants to come to India for tourism, let's make our airport in such a manner that वो पहले श्रीलंका आएगा, वो 2 दिन श्रीलंका में Colombo में रुक जाएगा, do a little bit of tourism here because their tourism industry is great, do tourism here and then go to Mabalipuram, go to Chennai. So can do customs and immigration here only and then go there. So airport to airport you join, right? So you never know. The Middle East might turn around and say, that's great. Here's a country with whom we can do this. We can have this arrangement. So more people think of this Vasudeva Kutumbakam that we talk about, where you have these kind of arrangements.
What does it translate to? One world.
Yeah, one world.
Okay.
Yeah, basically means that while we talk about, that make in India, we should be self-reliant and all, we also look at the world that it's one world. So when you do something good in your country, you share it with others. You make vaccines, give it to countries which can't cope with the COVID situation in their country. You don't turn around and say, hey, we haven't yet given COVID to all our people, so no, let's hold it. We're not going to give it to the others. No, we have that hydrochloroquine or whatever that was. We gave it to countries which needed it. We needed medicines. So there was all that vaccine Maitri was just about that you look at the world, look at education. You have to think beyond, and we do not look at it as brain drain. I've seen some of the thing that you have done, podcasts that you have done. There is a maturity which is coming in our country now. We're not looking at people who went out of the country as a brain drain. We're looking at them now investing back in our country, right? There was a time, Ranveer, when people went, like super specialists who went, they studied in medical colleges, they had to give a bond. They had to pay 1 lakh rupees to the government because they studied in a government medical college, and then they 1 lakh or 2 lakhs, I don't remember exact amount. pay back to the government because they studied in a government and they had subsidized education and they were going to America. They had to get a permit. For super specialists, had to get a permit, like a surgeon leaving the country and going, had to get a permit to go out. Today, we don't see all that, right? We see this that, okay, you're going there, you're an Ajay Banga, you're going there, tum MasterCard ko head kar rahe ho, MasterCard is going to invest here, we're going to have, there's a give and take that happens. So there's a larger worldview and we are more confident. Your generation is going to get ultra more confident about it. Don't shy away from what we are.
So these are playlists made.
Okay. So brilliant. I jotted down my points. So I wanted to ask, what is this one world she was talking about in that video? I wasn't quite sure. I didn't want to pause because some of you really don't like it. Now, I think what I wanted to really bring up is when she was talking about like the unity and diversity. And I know I've asked many of you already about this and how many issues it causes, but it's also like you're kind of united under that. No. And she mentioned that Europe is falling apart. So some of you berated me for saying that Europe is very diverse. And I feel like I've tried to even have some conversation with some of you in the comments below to try to explain, because I don't think that what I mean is really understood. So please do hear me out. So when you guys talk about India, you talk about, like, it feels like it's one country, regardless it is diverse. Like, so yeah, so basically you're kind of, when we think here perhaps about India, we think about just like one unit. We don't think that there are so many different states. They're like that this is like a United States of India, that kind of thing, right? Like we think India, one country, like Slovakia, one country. You have one constitution. The US is almost like the similar. I would imagine, and I don't know much about it, so you feel free to correct me, that India has one constitution and everyone is proud to be from Bharat, right? Now, the US is also, it is a huge country. It's divided into different states and it says United States of the US, but they are governed under one constitution. And they have the common beliefs and principles. Just, I feel like India doesn't. Again, please correct me if I'm wrong here. Now, what I wanted to say is that, I see those concepts very similar. However, Europe is very different because it's very diverse. And I know you guys have crazy diversity way beyond whatever Europe has. However, we don't have a concept, even though it might appear that way, that you are European. Like you would say, I'm an Indian. I would never say I am European. If someone asks me, I'll say, I'm from Slovakia. Where are you from? Like if I would go to Latin America or if I would go to India, I would say I'm a European, because I wouldn't expect that you would be aware of the geography of Europe. And why would you, right? It's like, it's too far away. So for that matter, if you would ask anyone in Europe, where you're from, they would say, I'm from England, I'm from France, I'm from Germany. I wouldn't, they wouldn't say, I'm European. I don't know how perhaps it works in India, but we also don't really have a constitution. I mean, European Union has a constitution, but no one is aware of it. There is no common values and purpose. This was European project, and I hope I finally can clarify to everyone who's because I can see it in the comments over and over and over again, berating Europe that we are the vassals of the US. But what do you guys expect? This is the US project. We were the whole European economic area was built at the inception of the deception. Can't express myself properly. The impetus was given by the US. They wanted to create the European Union. Europe is a project of the US. Please understand that. Germany was rebuilt based on the US money, for example, after the Second World War. So yes, of course, Europe is going to be the project of the European Union. But I just want to make you understand that nationalities here are very different. We don't have a common, I'm from Europe type of mentality like you would have. I'm from India. I'm very much Slovak. The fact that someone is from France, they're French, I have absolutely nothing in common with them for the most of the part. Like maybe outside of Christianity or the fact that I live on the same continent. This is the big difference that I really want you to understand. Because for that reason, it's very hard to unite Europe. Because in India, you may have, you know, your philosophy, the way of life that is pretty much throughout, you know. But in Europe, it doesn't work that way. It just simply doesn't. No one thinks like that. So yes, I've been blabbing a lot. So I hope you enjoyed and liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, please do take care and bye-bye.